What's up, guys? We are at the University of Washington, and today we're going to be debating whether or not the fires in Los Angeles were started by climate change or poor management of the city. My position is, of course, that they were started by poor management of the city and its resources. This issue is particularly important to me because I used to live in Los Angeles, and I know people who have lost houses. People are dead because the city did not do their job in preparedness for fires. Let's get into it. So, you believe that the LA fires were caused by climate change?
I do believe that the violence and the occurrence of it is caused by climate change. I do not deny the fact that there are wildfires in the US or wherever else. It's caused by a natural phenomenon, that's true. But the thing is that the way it gets more violent every year, every month, and the occurrence of it, it repeats itself more, this is caused by human activity.
I agree that it's caused by human activity, but I don't believe that's climate change. So what I would say is we get the Santa Ana winds every single year in Los Angeles. They range between 30 to 50 miles per hour, and gusts get up to 70 to 100 miles per hour. These gusts were about 56 miles per hour. That's what spread the fire. The longest streak in Los Angeles of not having a wildfire is 0. We have fires every single year. Right now is windy season and it's fire season. 85% of all fires are started by humans, whether they flick a cigarette into the bush or they start a fire, like a campfire or whatever. Almost all fires are started by humans. 85%.
One of the wildfires in LA is caused by a guy just flipping a cigarette, right?
I'm sure. Considering 85% of fires are started by humans, most of the rest are started by lightning strikes. I've never seen lightning in Los Angeles, maybe one time. These fires happen all the time. This fire has been the most devastating fire in LA's history. With that being said, Malibu burned down in 1970. It also burned down in 93. With that being said, the reason that this fire was able to spread with the veracity that it did, in my view, is because of the city mismanaged it. So the Palisades is the first place that burned down. There was over 100 million gallon water reservoir in the Palisades, empty, bone dry when the fire started. There was no water in it. The fire hydrants ran dry. We defunded the fire department by $17.5 million. We sent all of our surplus firefighting equipment to Ukraine. The mayor was out of the country when the fire started. She was in Ghana, Africa, for God knows what reason. In addition to that, the fire chief warned literally a month ago that the loss of funds are going to hamper emergency responses in the future, and then a month later, Palisades burned down. So in my view, it's not climate change. To me, it seems all the conditions are still the same. The grass is always dry. There's no humidity ever in Los Angeles. It's basically a desert. We always have the Santa Ana winds. These weren't even the worst Santa Ana winds we've seen.
Then how come do you explain that it was so devastating?
Because the city mismanaged it. They didn't have water. So the fire hydrants ran dry and they didn't have water in the reservoir. We defunded the fire department, gave away our equipment, et cetera, et cetera.
Because I'm not a U.S. citizen, so I don't know how they used to manage it. But what I can see, I'm from Europe, I'm from France. So what I can see is that the same phenomenon actually occurred. That's what occurred in Greece, in Portugal, and Spain for the last 2 years, which had normally not been produced. We never had such wildfires in Greek islands or in the south of Spain and south of Portugal, which happened the last 2 years, and that's because of human activity and climate change. That's I'm sure.
Well, human activity, yeah, flicking cigarettes. I don't think it's climate change. I mean, LA, for example, everyone says it's really dry. Everyone says LA is really dry. That's why the fire was able to spread. We had record rainfall last year. The LA River is usually dry. There's not much water in it. The river was almost overflowing last year, and that was the same for the winter prior too. We've been getting a ton of an abnormal amount of rain recently, which is rare, but happens every so often. You get a ton of rain. Happens in Los Angeles, but I don't think that it's any drier than it usually is.
I think I do disagree on that point, saying that it's not drier than it has been. Maybe the source, the root of the fire is caused by just a guy doing some mistake with the cigarette or whatever. The origin of the fire could be human activity, not climate change. I do agree on that. I do not deny that. I do not deny also the mismanagement of the city of LA. But the fact that it's spreading that much and it's so violent is caused by just climate change. The fact that that's so dusty, that the winds are so strong and so windy, that it spreads so fast. That is, for me, part of the climate change, because it's becoming more and more violent. It has been proved scientifically that for the past 20 years now, every natural disaster is becoming increasingly more dangerous because of the CO2 in the atmosphere and all we know about the effects and consequences of the climate change.
Well, I don't agree, because there's been, especially in prehistoric times, there was way more CO2 in the atmosphere. That's why everything was bigger. And on top of that, wildfires also aren't new. Like massive fires that are devastating are not new at all. Like
No, no, no.
this
But then
city,
How come do they happen in Europe? How come do they happen?
they've always happened everywhere. Like
Not that much.
look at Seattle. Do you know we're in Seattle right now?
Yeah.
Seattle burned to the ground. Did you know that?
No, I never know.
In the mid 1800s, Seattle burned to the ground. So if you go downtown, you'll actually see skylights on the sidewalk, and that's because there's an underground city.
Yeah, there's an underground city. Yeah.
And that underground city exists because the whole city burned down, and they
way.
started
I
rebuilding.
didn't
So
know
your streets are actually like downtown. They're actually built up. I think it's like 12 feet. It's just solid concrete underneath, and then this underneath the sidewalks, it's hollow. So that's why the underground is there, because the city burned down. And that was due to mismanagement of the city too, because all of our buildings in Seattle were made out of wood, because we have the timber up here in Washington. So all the houses and buildings were built out of wood. And so one fire happened, and a guy, he was making glue, and it was, of course, like glue back then was made with a bunch of flammable shit. He caught fire. Next door was a paint shop. The paint shop caught fire. Whiskey truck goes driving by. Whiskey truck catches on fire. It rams into the post office. Post office goes up in flames. Next you know, the whole city is ashes.
I don't think it's caused by climate change for sure. Definitely, maybe like there's people out there that's like starting fires. Could be like a really big cause, but you know, I don't really think climate change is the main factor.
Do you think it is a factor?
Well, I think it is a factor. I think, you know, climate change definitely is it is a topic for sure, but I wouldn't know like what the cause of climate change still really is, because like, if you look at the world's history, there's times where the Earth has like gotten warmer and colder, and it's definitely still like a
Even before humans.
yeah, even before humans, it's like a pattern, or we're thinking it's a pattern, and I like to believe that it's a pattern. Maybe. Definitely say I don't really have like a direct like cause for sure, because there's a lot of, you know, factors, and like I would definitely want to say maybe like humans contribute maybe like, I don't know, maybe like under 10%
To the climate changing.
maybe to the climate changing. That's just a really vague answer, but you know.
Yeah, no, I would probably agree somewhat with that. I would think it'd maybe be a little less than 10%, but so I'm from Los Angeles, and my main thing is a lot of my friends lost their houses and people are dead, and I think that it's primarily the city's fault. I don't think it's climate change. A lot of what I've heard from a lot of people is it's dry, it's not humid, the winds are really strong. It's like we get the Santa Ana winds every year. They're 30 to 50 miles an hour with gusts 70 to 100 miles an hour. This was about 56 miles an hour. Not even the craziest winds we get. It's fire season, it's windy season. These fires happen every year. The longest streak that LA's ever gone without a fire is 0. We have fires every year of recorded history. 85% of all wildfires are started by humans. Flick a cigarette into a bush, start a campfire, homeless person starts a fire, creates a wildfire. The city mismanaged the city and caused this fire, or these fires, to be uncontainable. So the Palisades, which is leveled now, had a water reservoir over 100 million gallons of water, and it was, before this fire started, it was bone dry. There was nothing in it. The fire hydrants ran dry. We defunded the fire department by $17.5 million. We donated all of our surplus equipment to Ukraine. It's just like all of the things that you would never do if you're in the most fire-prone part of the United States, LA did, despite being in the most fire-prone part of the United States.
Yeah, I definitely want to give like the condolences to everyone that's like lost their stuff and their houses and to fires, because it's never, you know, it's never a good thing for sure. It's always a tragedy that it happens, but yeah, I think I wouldn't say like climate change should be the big term here for sure, but definitely kind of, you know, I would also say LA is kind of a little bit mismanaged. Definitely can be better for sure. There's a lot of improvements that they can do, but is there like people saying that it's climate change?
Yeah, it's like all over the internet. Wildfires in general, they've been saying are climate change, which is like so stupid, because again, like 85% of fires started by people. The rest are lightning strikes or volcanic lava, usually lightning strikes, but it's like there's not usually lightning in Los Angeles, so it's like definitely started by a person, or like poor infrastructure, like our power grid's really old and starts fires sometimes, power lines, stuff like that. So.
I think there's like a lot of societal improvements that we can definitely do. But I wouldn't say, I would agree with you that I wouldn't say climate change is kind of like the main factor, but there's a lot of different things going on too. So definitely we can't be just pointing fingers at one thing and just saying that that's like the true thing to happen for sure.
I think that one of the big things is there is a large population of eucalyptus trees that are in California currently, and those eucalyptus trees are about as flammable as gasoline. So we pair that with climate change, which is causing drier conditions because there's less water coming through because of the rapid change in climate. I'm not a climate expert. I'm going to start with that. I'm going based on my understandings from what I've been taught from looking online and everything like that. I'm certainly not an expert, but I think it's a mix of a lot of different situations. Sorry.
You're good.
I think it's a mix of a lot of different situations, and I think that in the end, even if these specific wildfires aren't being caused by climate change because we're in January and it's colder, we should still be making efforts towards fixing climate change, because in those summer months, it absolutely devastates LA, like what's been going on, and that is caused by climate change.
Well, right now is actually fire season, so it's also windy.
bad.
It's also windy season in LA. So, like, what I would argue as far as like dry drought conditions go in LA is like LA has always been dry. It's not technically a desert, but it's basically a desert. There's very low humidity. That's the whole thing. Is like you go to Florida, it's very humid. You go to LA, it's dry heat, and a lot of people like the dry heat better. But it's very dry in LA. The river in LA. I'm from Los Angeles. The river.
I'm so sorry. Are you okay right
No,
now?
yeah. No, I don't live there anymore. I live here, but I moved here from Los Angeles. So I have a lot of friends who have lost their houses and stuff. But the LA River is usually bone dry. And that's not new. It's always been like that. But like last winter, we got record rain, and the LA River was almost overflowing. So it's not like it's permanently dry, or the climate has changed so much that it's permanently dry, because we do still get rain during the winter sometimes. But we also get the Santa Ana winds every single year. They usually range from about 30 to 50 miles per hour with gusts between 70 and 100 miles per hour. And that's exactly what's happening now. We're looking at like maybe 55 mile per hour winds, or that's what it was when the fires were really igniting. But according to the National Park Service, 85% of all wildfires are ignited by humans. And the rest are usually lava from volcanoes or lightning strikes, more commonly lightning strikes. So I don't think that has a whole lot to do with climate change. I think that what probably happened is somebody near the Palisades, not in the Palisades, somewhere in the hills, probably flicked a cigarette in the ground, or a homeless person started a fire. Somebody did a campfire. Something like that, and it ignited really dry brush that the city refuses to manage, and it caused a huge fire, which then spread to Pasadena and has now devastated thousands of people without their homes. But this isn't the first time that even the Palisades have burned down. Malibu has burned down twice. It burned down once in 1970 and once in 1993, and that's just what we know about, because like when you really get into like the 20th century, their records aren't the best, especially in the West, because not a lot of people lived out here. Actually, this city burned down.
Yeah, it did.
This city burned down.
That's part of the reason why we have the Seattle Underground is because of that situation.
Yeah.
I think that you have a good point, but I think one of the things I do want to like kind of bring up is that climate change isn't causing the fires, but it's making the area drier because we're not seeing as much rainfall, which we're actually seeing a little bit in Seattle, which is wild. I did not expect to have a fully sunny summer. And we're seeing that kind of increase in temperatures kind of all around. And it's making these drier conditions so that those fires become more common, not that they're causing the fires themselves. Like, is that, like, am I getting that point across?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just disagree, because I think that Los Angeles has actually been getting record rain recently, but it does have dry seasons, and it has fire seasons, and it has windy seasons, and they're unfortunately the same season. So, and the thing is, like, if you look at LA, specifically just LA County, and you look at the amount of fires, like last night when researching for this debate, I went and tried to find the longest streak that LA County has ever had without a wildfire. There isn't one. They have a fire every year. And if you look at California as a state, it's like even worse. Like very difficult to find a period of time where there were no wildfires in Los Angeles. There probably wasn't ever, prior to like human expansion to the west, a gap of more than a couple months or like 6 months, like half a year, that there wasn't a fire.
Okay. And I just want to say it's very refreshing that you've done your research. I've spoken to a lot of, I'm assuming you're conservative. I'm assuming it's very refreshing to see if you've actually done research, because that is really hard to find. I think that's a really good point. Sorry.
No, you're good. I do it too. It's like,
I worry that like we're ignoring the conditions that are being, I'm finding my words.
I think my position would be is that overwhelmingly this issue was probably overwhelmingly, this issue is probably caused by like poor city management. I think that the current administration in California and Los Angeles is absolutely terrible. Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. The Palisades had a water reservoir that contains 117 million gallons of water. It was empty during the fires. But like before the fire started, totally bone dry. We gave our surplus firefighting equipment to Ukraine. We cut the budget of the fire department by $17.5 million. We took over 100 firefighters out of service for not being up to date with like vaccine regulations. Like it's crazy. So like staff's cut, budget's cut, and actually the fire chief just warned last month that these budget cuts are going to make emergency responses very difficult. And then the fire broke out a couple days ago. Go ahead. You have the mic for as long as you want.
I mean, I don't really think we're going to find common footing. I think the big issue is that I do actually want to have dialogue. The problem I'm finding is that the people who want to find dialogue, like you, is needing to set up cameras to do it. See, the thing is I actually want a better humanity. I actually want humanity to succeed. I'm not going on college campuses trying to stir up arguments, nor am I trying to go to a fucking town hall or anything like that trying to stir up shit with conservatives, because that's not what I want. I actually want a better humanity. And that's where I just don't think you and I will agree, because you're just going to find any sort of little issue and politicize it. And as you said in your previous conversation, you defended yourself that you're not politicizing it, that maybe the left is politicizing, maybe there's a DEI and all these scapegoats you come up with, and this whole new political establishment that's part of the right that we're seeing is part of this grander problem in this new age of American politics, and you're a part of that. And I started with your question of masculinity, which this camera didn't show. The problem with masculinity is that my masculinity is based in humanity, not about degrading women and telling them they're less capable. And then when I asked you, what are your thoughts about the women firefighters in LA? Well, the previous guy, you told him that they're completely incapable. You're dog-shitting women. You totally were.
Not what I said.
But then when I asked you, you backpedaled a little bit.
Not
Why?
true.
Because you're not a man. You can't take it.
Okay. So I am also interested in
And I
flushed out.
I don't want to do ad hominem attacks, but
That's
I
not
feel
what I'm
like, and unfortunately I did right there, as you would agree. But that's the problem. That's the problem with having a camera here. And I'm not saying we censor everything, because that's another talking point that's being spread around all over by social media. And fuck, I don't even know, that guy's probably doing a similar thing over there too.
Can I go? You good?
Yeah, it's just,
Okay.
it's sad. I feel like we're watching the downfall of humanity, and you're complicit in it.
Okay. Please don't cut me off while I respond to you, and then when I'm done, I'll pass it back to you, and you can respond to me. Okay. So I also believe in civil dialogue. I believe in having nuanced conversations about issues that are important. I post these conversations uncut on my YouTube. I might, if I talk
How
about.
many views do you get? What are your subscribers?
I don't have my analytics in front of me. Just let me finish what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I might cut, if I talk about the exact same thing with some other person, I might cut in what they said while I'm, having my conversation with you, but I'm not excluding your conversations. Sure. I'm not trying to get you. I'm not excluding your arguments, anything like that.
I would like you to post this entire conversation unedited, if you may.
Yep. Okay. So let me finish.
Watching your YouTube
Yep.
channel to make sure
I
that happens.
invite you to do so. So please let me finish when I'm talking. Okay. Again. So again, you said that you think that climate change was, and I'm going to talk about the masculinity thing you mentioned. I'm going to talk about the masculinity thing that you mentioned. Okay. So you mentioned that you think that climate change is a contributing factor to these things. I disagree, because I have lived in Los Angeles. I'm from Los Angeles. We get the Santa Ana winds every single year. They range between 30 and 50 miles per hour with gusts 70 to 100 miles per hour. These winds are about 56 miles per hour. It's average. It's not new. It's not different. It's the same thing that's always. I'm not finished. I'm not finished. I'm not finished.
There's no basis in that
Okay.
argument.
I'm not finished. Okay. We get the wins every single year. The longest streak in LA's history without a wildfire is 0. We get fires every single year. The city has been mismanaged. You talked about masculinity, and you said that I'm not a man because I said that. What you said, first of all,
attacking at the core
yeah.
of the
So
identity
again, I'm
politics
gonna
that
pass it back to you.
identity.
I'm gonna pass it back to you. You're gonna get an opportunity to talk. I let you talk as long as you wanted. Now you're gonna let me talk as long as I wanted. Okay? That's how you have civil discourse, which you claim that you want. Okay? So you're gonna let me speak. Okay. So you said that I told the last guy who was here that women are utterly incapable of fighting fires, which is not what I said.
You said
I
they're
said
significantly less capable.
that's not what I said.
Yes,
I
you
said
did,
that
based
men.
on their physicality.
That's not what I
That
said.
is exactly what
Are you going to let me finish?
Well, not when
you
you lie.
claim you
Not
want
when
civil
you lie.
discourse. I'm going to reiterate what I said. I said that men on average are stronger than women, better at carrying people out of
So
fires.
you're proving my point I exactly just said.
Are you going to let me finish?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm going to point out every
Because if you
single
keep
time
cutting me
you-
off, it's not going to get published at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me finish.
Sure.
Okay.
Don't publish this.
What I
Leave
s-
content.
What I said was that on average, women are better at fighting fires than men are better at fighting fires than women. They're better at carrying people out of fires. They're better at busting doors down, and they're better at lifting things and managing the pressure of a fire hose. I told you when you asked me, what is my view of masculinity and do I think that women are inferior? I told you that I think that women on average are not as strong as men. That is a objective fact. And I also told you that I believe that if women can meet the same physical standards as men, they should be allowed to do whatever job a man can do, whether it be firefighting or joining the military, because it's another specific one you asked me. My view of masculinity, I don't actually put a whole lot of stock in masculinity. I think there are objective facts about the sexes.
I think
Men are
you
on
do
average
further.
stronger. Men are on average stronger than women. So you're making implied inferences about me based on what you see in front of you. You're not asking me what my position is, or you are asking me what my position is, ignoring me when I tell you, and then making inferences due to my political stance about what I think.
I'm paying attention to every single thing you say.
Okay, go ahead. Your turn.
What do I have to say?
It's your turn.
Sure.
Go ahead.
What do you want to talk about next? What topic?
Well, are you going to respond to the things I said, or do you concede?
You want dialogue, but you think this is a victory-loss thing? This is the problem.
Are you going to? This is a debate. Are you going to concede, or are you going to
This is a
go
debate.
after
I
my
thought
arguments?
It was a dialogue.
A dialogue, debate,
Yeah,
argument.
that's
They're
what
all
that
the same
thing
thing.
says behind the camera that the viewers can't
It
see.
actually says debate.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Sure, it does say debate
Tell me,
there.
what does that say right there? Okay.
Sure.
Cool.
I don't really like.
I believe it actually. This one actually says prove me wrong. So your goal here should be to prove me wrong. You can either concede.
That's not really my goal.
You can either concede and get up,
I have
or
my
you
own
can
agency.
argue against what I've said.
I can just sit here.
Well, it's my chair, so you can actually get up.
I want to listen to what other views you have.
Okay, well, somebody else, if you want to sit here and listen, you can listen over there. Somebody else is going to sit in my chair here, and it is my chair. It's my property. So if you're done arguing, you can get up and leave. It's up to you.
Yes, I see. So you've conceded. Look at
I've not conceded.
Pick me up. You've censored me.
No, you can stay if you have
censored me.
arguments.
Oh no.
You can stay if you have arguments, man. You're not here in good faith. You claimed you wanted a good faith conversation. You're not here in good faith. That's all I have for you in this one, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you thought of this video, and I hope you enjoyed.